We've just got breaking news.
Yeah.
Obviously, the result of the game was Chelsea 0, Aston Villa 2. Really poor from Chelsea. But it still feels a surprise, Rob, that we've just heard in the last 10 minutes that they've parted ways and Graham Potter's going to leave the football club. Wow. This was meant to be an appointment, Rob, that was going to be judged in years, not months or weeks. It was going to be a long-term, was it a 7-year contract or something that he signed? Young players, this is the guy that they wanted. Go on then, first reaction from you, Rob, on this news before we get into the details of this game.
Not that surprised is my first reaction, Rob. I watched yesterday, I watched a game, I was obviously off, so watched a game, you're sitting with your notepad, and I'm looking through the group, Rob, and I'm saying, my first thing I wrote is, the Graham Potter project is not working. It's not working, Rob.
No,
and a great comparison is to Unai Emery, who's gone in at Aston Villa. And yes, we know, relationships take time and getting used to players and change the system. Unai Emery's gone into a football club and made a difference with a team that, to the point where Aston Villa had a better understanding how they were going to win that game than Chelsea did.
Much better.
Chelsea got stars. Chelsea got, world stars and $100 million signings and wages and ability and quality. They have got no chemistry. The relationships that should be part of a team are not there, Rob. So it's like, I was thinking, it's like me and you doing a podcast with somebody different every week. How are we going to build a relationship? How am I going to know what you're going to, where I am? The first goal could be culpable of Cucurella and not knowing what Koulibaly's going to do. He heads the ball. Ollie Watkins goes and scores. First goal.
Yeah.
We've got a team that's struggling for organisation, and that comes down to Potter, Rob. That's his job. That's what he's supposed to be good at. Yeah. All this possession, can't turn it into anything. I think it was 21 shots, Rob.
Slow.
Can't touch, slow. Too many players wanting to do the same things, end up in the same parts of the pitch, want to make the same runs. You've got Reece James, who's one of your most dynamic forward can play from the wide position as your left side centre back, Rob. I looked on the bench, you've got Badiashile and you've got Chalobah. Yet you've got Reece James who is your right side centre back of three, and Loftus-Cheek on the right side back. It just doesn't fit. There's no balance. And the biggest thing that came out of the game, Rob, when I was watching it, I watched his faces and watching body languages. There's no belief in the football. There's no belief anymore. And once I'd gone, I am less surprised after watching the game yesterday than I was if you'd have asked me this question Friday.
No, I tell you, mate, well said. And I think it was talk about. I just thought it was so many steps back, and there's almost no point in going over the game, Rob, because this news trumps everything. And I think going back to the decision, and I always said this when it started to be a struggle and the results weren't great. The whole narrative was, well, you got to give them time. And yes, of course, that's always the case with somebody new like that. But I always said it before, there's got to be some kind of progression. You got to see what he's doing there. It didn't work out, but you can see what he's doing. Oh yeah, that's a bit better.
Yeah.
Oh, that wasn't very good, but there's got to be a steady progression, and there hasn't been. And that's been, I think it's since September, Rob, that he took over the side. The constant changing around.
Yeah, September 22.
And he looked. His expression was a different one on the sideline. Graham Potter at the end of that game, in the last 10 or 15 minutes, you looked at his face. God, blimey! So I know what you mean in terms of surprise. I expected that they would give him to the end of the season. They got Real Madrid, haven't they, coming up in the Champions League?
Yeah, Real Madrid in a couple of weeks.
Maybe they just feel
I looked at the next fixtures, Rob. Yeah, so Liverpool at home, away to Wolves.
Yeah.
Away to Real Madrid, home to Brighton, home to Real Madrid. I thought right there it's hit for him. But the question I'd written, Rob, and this is before the news had come out, so I was doing it yesterday. I said, why am I worried for Potter was if he stumbles through till the summer and won a few games, drew a few, I don't know, lost a couple, but we got to the summer. How do we go from there? What are the owners thinking? It'll all come good now, or it's all going to change, or I don't know. I was starting to get to the point where I can't see how it's going to improve. That summer period doesn't give you any hope, particular hope for what's going to come.
No, but between now and the summer, Rob, give him the. And by the way, I'm not saying they should have done that. I expected there's 10 games, and at the end of the 10 games, literally at the end of the 10 games, and I think it probably would have been the same kind of up and down and no progression. Then it's like, okay, he's had since September almost the whole season.
But you've thrown away a quarter-final Champions League spot, then, Rob, haven't you? You've thrown that away. If
you want to give him, just to be sure, just to make sure that this isn't going to go right. I expected to the end of the season. God, particularly after all the words of like how we're going to stick with our man. That just shows you, by the way, in this sport, in this league, you know, your job can quickly become untenable. And it almost was there with the boos at halftime at the end of the game. But let's cut to the chase, mate. Like, they got big games coming. You just said it. Who's available? What are they going to do? Are they going to go with like interim manager to the end of this? I don't know who the heck that would be, by the way. Interim manager.
Nagelsmann's around, Rob. He's high end. He's free. He's available. He's not going to cost you any money.
Yeah.
There's other teams who might, Spurs might be thinking about that move as well. Might you think about doing that first? Seems a rightish kind of fit. I'm sure Brendan Rodgers will be putting his hat in the ring. We'll talk about Brendan later. News coming out of Leicester City this morning. But I suppose Nagelsmann's got to be the choice.
And that might be a reason why we see it now with Potter. Like, they got a chance to get a top manager that was, of course, recruited and hired by Bayern Munich. I mean, Mauricio Pochettino is the other one, Rob, that would feel that with his resume and what the clubs that he's been at and who he's worked with before, he could be a good manager and a sorter and in that football club.
Possibly.
So, but I think Nagelsmann would be the obvious choice. He's available right now. That might have pushed the board and the owners and stuff
to make the decision a little bit, make that decision a bit easier.
Yeah, and there might have been discussions going on, and Nagelsmann might have said, you know what, this kind of suits me. So that would make most sense. And I think Nagelsmann, Rob, in terms of if he had a choice between Tottenham and Chelsea, with the spending that the owners have shown already and that will continue
with the quality of player at Chelsea.
I know it's a tough job. I know there's a lot of players to sort through. I know there's some they've got to get rid of a lot of players. But I suppose, again, if you bring in a top guy right now, he's got 10 games to figure out his squad and who he wants to release and who he wants to keep, who he thinks is going to be not wanted, and you've got kind of a head start on that process of thinning out the squad a little bit. I mean, I'm sure they're going to bring more players in. So the more you think about it, the more that Julian Nagelsmann, and I think it's been reports that he'd love to work in the Premier League, that would make sense. But we'll wait on that. That could be a quick. I mean, we're not going to speculate on that, but that could be something, Rob, that happens pretty quickly, isn't it?
No, it could be, a bit like Tuchel's fit into Bayern, and obviously, got to win at the weekend. Maybe they'll see Nagelsmann as something similar. Yeah. I mean, it's incredible, Rob, and we'll talk about Brendan Rodgers in a moment, but 13 Premier League managers now, the most ever in a Premier League season, have lost their jobs. 13.
Is that the most you just said?
It's an incredible number when there's only 20 Premier League teams. 13
Southampton changed theirs twice, didn't they? So is that 12 teams?
Yes, 2 for Southampton,
God, blimey. I mean, even the Brendan Rodgers, which we'll get onto. Anyway, that's the big news, and that trumps everything really from the game. Well played, Aston Villa. We've mentioned them real quick, the way that they're developing.
We should. Unai Emery's really team are brilliantly set up, Robin. And I don't know, you've probably read the stat, but since he joined in November, there's only Arsenal and the 2 Manchester clubs who've won more points. He's gone in there, Rob. He's given structure. He's not afraid to defend with numbers if he has to. They've got good counter-attack. He's getting the best of Ollie Watkins. Buendia's starting to show the player that he can be. Jacob Ramsey's a talent that's going to get better and maybe play more central and have bigger influence on the game. Douglas Luiz. I mean, he's getting a tune out of players, Rob. We were looking on Steven Gerrard and saying, doesn't look right. They're better than this. And they're starting to get ambitions. They've gone 9th, Rob. I mean, they still might have a little fancy for Europa Conference or something if they can continue the run.
Do you know what, mate? I'm sorry, but my brain's still spinning here. I'm now thinking about Graham Potter. What's next for Graham Potter? There's two clubs right now.
I'll tell you what's next for Graham Potter.
There's two.
$1,000,000% what's next for Graham Potter.
Leicester City?
Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace.
What about Leicester City, Rob?
London club.
Which is more attractive to him? Leicester? Graham Potter? Better footballers at the moment?
Where you want to be. Yeah, Leicester's not a bad shout. I think Crystal Palace would be. I mean, I don't know. The Palace-Brighton thing, don't know if that holds anything.
Tottenham? Is Tottenham too big? Can he get a Tottenham?
No. His big 6 days.
I think so.
He's become the new David Moyes, mate, where people are going to say big 6 jobs are too big for him.
Yeah.
He's going to be the king of the next level down.
Oh, gosh. Amazing. I mean, this merry-go-round is just, it's insane. It's insane. You know, this is going to be like interesting in the next couple of weeks of who hires who.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. For even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock and be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend on USA Network and on Peacock. We will see you over there.